Hello and welcome into another edition of A Better Way to Food Truck Podcast. I'm your host, Jay McFarland, so glad that you decided to join us. Today, I'm super excited to introduce our guest, Patrick Bolanos. He's with Trailer King Builders. This company builds food trucks for anybody across the country. He has an amazing story about how he got started and how he can help you out with your food truck business. Now, a reminder, this podcast is produced and sponsored by Order Up Apps. If you're looking for a better way to food truck, you don't need to look any further than Order Up Apps for your ordering and marketing needs. Not only are they the official Square partners, they offer custom branded ordering apps and marketing tools made for food truck owners. Get your 14-day free trial at orderupapps.com today. All right, Patrick, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I'm curious, you are involved in building food trucks and helping out food truck operators. How did you get involved in this type of business?
Thank you so much for having me. When y'all reached out and asked me to be here today, I said, of course, anything that we can do to help this growing industry, I'm happy to help. So it's kind of a funny story. I had no idea what it took to build a food truck 4 years ago. I was in the restaurant industry. I had an office position as a CFO of a restaurant group here in Houston. A pretty big group. They were about $25 million in revenues at the time. And I basically went through a process of transformation, self-development at this place of work that I was, and speaking up for something that I did not think was okay or right. And I spoke up about it, got me fired week before Christmas, 2017. And that basically was the catalyst for my transformation. And it basically, when I hit rock bottom, when it's a week before Christmas, you can't afford to make the next month's rent. You're a family of four. You just had a newborn baby. And I was pretty much at a crossroads, like, what the hell am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And so I could have kept myself down, but I decided to focus on improving myself on a daily basis. So I started to focus on what I read, what I listened to, who I listened to, and an opportunity was presented to me to start selling food trucks for another company. So I would make a commission to sell a concession trailer or food truck. And we noticed an opportunity in the marketplace. We noticed that we could control the process and improve customer service and pretty much just change the overall environment on how people go about the process of acquiring a food truck. And so we raised capital to start the business. And then we went into the process, first understanding what it takes to build a truck, and then what the requirements are to build one, what's required to build a trailer. And we started one at a time in the front yard of my business partner's house. My office was under a tree. I was responsible for sales. I still am responsible for pretty much all of it, or the leader of it. But we have an amazing team. We've been growing ever since. We used to do one or two a month. To now in 2020, we are very close to doing about 20 a month.
Wow.
20 build-outs a month, and that's between food trucks, trailers, mobile units, mobile spa buses, Sprinter vans, etc.
Wow, that's an incredible story, going from your front yard and then 20 trucks a year. What does the typical customer look like? Are they brand new into the industry, or do you have a mix of people who have been in the industry, they're looking to upgrade, or those types of things?
There's a mix. There's a big mix. We've worked with restaurant chains that want to go mobile. We've worked with mom and pops that need a second unit. We've also worked with people that got let go during the pandemic and wanted to follow their dream and passion to start a mobile food unit. And maybe they tap into a 401k or they have some savings. We get them financing, etc. So it's a mix, but we are seeing a lot of people take more risk and investing in themselves and believing in themselves more because of the pandemic.
Yeah, I think the pandemic has changed a lot of people's viewpoints, and a lot of people are having to do what you did. They're having to reinvent themselves. I'm curious, what do you think drives somebody who's been outside doing something else? You have your story about how you kind of got involved in food trucks. What drives them? Did they watch the food truck shows on the cooking channels now? What's kind of their passion? What's behind it?
Well, everybody has a story, right? Everybody that
Yeah.
comes to us has a story. Just like you said, I have my story, they have theirs. Obviously, necessity is the mother of all inventions, right? So when you are in need of having to find a way to support your family, you go and ask yourself the right questions at the time. What am I doing? What do I want to do? What am I passionate about? So we see a lot of people that are passionate about food and they want to go all in on themselves. They want to go all in on their barbecue business. They want to go all in on their cupcake business. They want to go all in on their michelada mix business. Yesterday, for example, we had a customer that started their business right dab in the middle of the pandemic, May
Oh,
2020. They start selling michelada mixes from home. They got to a point where they outgrew their house and they needed a solution. So they acquired a trailer with our company. And now that's going to allow them to reach more people, increase their sales, and maybe start a fleet or a food truck empire, like we like to say.
the old food truck empire. I'm curious. Let's say that I'm looking into the food truck business. I think there's a temptation out there to try and stay inexpensive, obviously, because you may be mortgaging the house or whatever. And so I wouldn't be thinking new truck in the beginning. I'm thinking I'm going to go through the classifieds and I'm going to find something and I'm going to go that route. What would your recommendation be if you're brand new in the industry? Is that a viable route? And what warnings would you give somebody who's going that route?
So we get that question all the time. And the very
Yeah.
first thing I tell everybody that comes through our door is you need to understand how to get your permits. You need to understand what the permitting process is for a mobile food unit in your county. Every single county in the U.S. is different, from the flooring to the size of the water tanks to if it has to have an air curtain. They just vary every single county. So if you understand what is required, then you start building around that and you to uh, start building the foundation for your business. So for example, if you go buy a Sprinter van, you want to cook inside of it, and you don't know that you need a 3-comp sink with drain boards and a hand wash sink, but you have this Sprinter van that if you put the size sinks that are required are going to take up most of the space. But you already bought the van, so now you have to figure out a way to make it work. And now that's a real life example which happened today with customers of ours that already went ahead and bought the mobile unit and they didn't do their homework at the beginning. So we're going to help them make it work. But now they're, a step behind because they went ahead and bought something before reaching out to their local health department, local fire marshal, et cetera. So that's the first thing I recommend. The second thing is we don't make any recommendations on menu, for example. Like if you're passionate about your menu, that's your menu. You know
Right.
what you want to cook. What is it required to have in a mobile food unit so that you can prepare your menu and serve it to your customers? We'll go into pricing and food cost and all that good stuff, but remember that space is a commodity in these units. You want to have more space. You'll always need more space. And so the second thing is make sure you figure out exactly what it is you need to offer the product and menu that are going to make your customers happy, and then go from there. And then obviously budget, right? At the end, budget is going to be important. So if you don't want to start with a food truck, or if you absolutely have to start with a food truck, you can go used, brand new build out, brand new truck, brand new build out, or you could go used truck that you buy off a third party. If you do go and buy off a third party, make sure you do your due diligence, that everything is working and that you're not buying someone else's problem. You're probably never going to find anything that's going to fit exactly what it is you want anyways, so make sure you do your due diligence.
Yeah, so it sounds like doing your homework up front is the number one key. Before you make any moves, any purchases, anything like that, make sure you know those regulations. How in the world do you keep up with the regulations for every county across the country?
So we cannot keep up with every
Yeah,
single county.
yeah.
So it is our client's responsibility to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that they provide us with their county's requirements. And
Okay.
some don't even have requirements. You just go there and the county's like, hey, I don't know what it is. Let's just follow the state guideline, and then we'll
Mm.
do that. But we guarantee you'll pass inspection if you sent us the requirements for your county.
And I imagine it's also important to note, like, for example, where I live near the border of a county, and food trucks will want to do business in both of those counties. So now they have to find the regulations between both of those counties, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. If you want to be mobile, if you want to go everywhere, like for example, customers are gonna, maybe not cut a corner, but maybe want to save some cost and not install a fire suppression system because it's not required in one county. But then I would say, why not just put it in there and then you'll never be out of any county?
Mm,
You could drive your unit to any county and you know that you have that system that's going to get you into an event, that's going to get you into that area that you want to serve. Instead of, okay, not use it because I want to save $3,000 and not be able to generate. You can generate $3,000 in a day if you go to the right places.
right. I'm curious. What are some of the weirdest or the craziest types of food trucks or builds that you've done?
Oh man, we've done them all. But thankfully, a lot of our customers have been pretty, I don't want to say normal because everybody has a different idea of what they want to
Right.
do. But we've seen all kinds of crazy stuff. Like somebody wanted to roast some pigs on the back of their trailer, so you had to accommodate for an open flame pig roasting machine that people could see through a window. Then you have to figure out how to ventilate it, etc.
Mm.
I've seen double decker bars that people want to do. So they want to pull around a trailer with double decker bars on the top and on the bottom with TVs. So you got to contemplate for direct TV and a bunch of other stuff. And we're recently been getting a lot of school buses. School buses are beginning to be an option. They've always been an option, but driving around a 40-foot bus limits where you can park. But
Right.
we are seeing some buses converted into food trucks.
Yeah, I've seen the buses really kind of take over in the mini home market and those types of things.
Hmm.
Why is that? Do you think it's because they find them at auction that they're cheap and then they can turn them around? Why the school bus?
I think it's the ability to get one at a very
Mm-hmm.
low cost.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get a school bus for around $6,000 and have it
Okay.
converted. But the conversion is going to be expensive. But you get started for less on a school bus, and maybe they're more reliable, right? But there are many school buses that come out of circulation every year that are sold at auctions or sold at dealerships that can be a lot easier for people to purchase.
Right. Now you're in Houston, but you service customers all over the country?
We have customers all over the country. We actually are building for a customer in Hawaii. We've had
Mm.
customers reach out from Australia. We've had customers reach out from the Netherlands. So we have customers all over the country. We don't have any customers globally right now, but hopefully that'll change soon. I mean, at the end of the day, if a customer wants it in Australia, hey, I'll put it at the port of Houston, and then we'll figure out a way to get it to you.
You'll get it to them. I'm curious. You mentioned a food truck operator who started during the pandemic. How has the pandemic affected your business model, and what adjustments have you had to make, if any, because of the pandemic?
So our business, our industry was already on an uptrend. I'm sure you know.
Mm-hmm.
Before the pandemic, it was a slow increase uptrend. It was just a growing industry. People were beginning to get interested more in owning a mobile food unit. But the pandemic came and lit a fire that I have not seen before, and the demand for our product has skyrocketed.
Hmm.
Everybody wants to have a mobile food unit. A lot of restaurants shut down. Bars in Houston, for example, were allowed to stay open if you serve food. A lot of bars that could not Serve Food reached out to us, and we built them a food trailer, and that's all they had to do to get open again.
Wow.
And so it it essentially created the demand for a product that, while it was already increasing, it just took it to another level. And so we've had to move from locations. We increased our capacity. We've already outgrown the facility where we're at now, which we moved 6 months ago. But we're making it work, and creating partnerships, I think, is essential, especially right now with the lack of materials that people are facing. There's some material shortages that are affecting the industry. So we're competing for ACs, for example, with the RV business. You just mentioned those buses that are converted into mobile homes or little homes. We're competing with conversion of the, what do you call it? The containers, the 20-foot containers and the 40-foot containers. So everybody is seeing an uptick in the demand, a decrease in supply. So it's very challenging times, but we're making it work. It's what we live for. We're here to help. So we appreciate everybody that reaches out to us, because we'll make it work.
Well, that's fantastic. I think a lot of people from the outside looking in would have thought the food truck business would have been hurt dramatically by the pandemic. But what we found in talking to food truck operators is that a food truck was kind of a natural pandemic option. You've got a natural barrier between you and the customer. They can social distance very well outside of the vehicle. And so
Right.
we've seen food trucks actually do quite well in the pandemic.
Yes, they have. I actually have a customer that bought a trailer from us. It was delivered January 2020. They got it delivered. They were working at a brewery. They were the exclusive caterer of a brewery, and they had to cook some stuff from a rented kitchen and transport it and serve it at the brewery. So they bought a trailer. But as soon as they got it, a couple months later, bam, shut down. And they're like, what do we do now?
Right.
So they decided to reach out to their homeowners associations. They joined Facebook groups of neighborhoods that they knew around their area. And they just started posting up their menu and saying, hey, we will come serve you your dinner. They were selling out every single day during the pandemic.
Wow.
And they are right now are thinking of getting their second trailer.
No, that's a very cool story. And I think it's an example of how the pandemic kind of changed society and changed who we are. I know a lot of restaurant operators who are thinking maybe we don't reopen our dining area because we're doing so well with just delivery and drive-through. And I'm wondering how, this is your perspective. You've been in the restaurant business, you're in the food truck business. Do you think some of these things that have changed the restaurant business and the food truck business, are they going to play out, or are we going to return to where we were pre-pandemic?
So the beauty of food is, and from my point of view, right, because the way I see it is people love to gather and share a meal. So if they get a chance to go back to do what they were doing before, they're going to do it. But I'm seeing a lot of food truck parks open up. So a lot more outdoor style eateries are gonna open up, while you're still gonna have the ability to share a meal. You're gonna be outdoors. You're gonna feel more protected. So you're gonna have options for everybody. For example, I don't really care. I don't care how close you are to me. I'm gonna be there. I'm a people person. I want to, I want to share in that experience. And so we're going to come back. But now we have more options. Now you can sit outdoors, enjoy a food truck meal, or you can go to your favorite restaurant, sit inside, and, keep going.
Yeah, I think you are exactly right. I think that eating out, especially, we don't do it just to fill our belly. I mean, we do it. There's an entertainment piece of that
Correct.
piece of being in a certain environment around other people, with the people that you're with. And also, sometimes I just want to be served. Sometimes I just like that experience of having somebody wait on me.
Have you ever
and bring
been
me
unhappy?
food.
Have you ever been unhappy when someone's serving you a meal? I mean, unless you have a terrible experience.
That's right.
But everybody is usually smiling and sharing, and it's it's a happy moment. People are just, it's a happy moment. So
Yeah, it's one of the other things I've heard from food truck operators. They feel like they're delivering happiness to a new location today, and they see the big smiles on the faces of people when they pull up into the, near their business, and they look forward to those days when they know the food trucks will be there.
exactly. That's exactly right.
Yeah, so I'm curious, if I am a brand new operator and I need a food truck from you, what is the process and what is the typical turnaround? I realize that specs will change the turnaround time, but what can I expect with your current business model?
So we're going to sit down and ask you a few questions to understand the ultimate goal that you want to accomplish. So we're going to want to understand your menu. We're going to want to understand where you want to serve. We're going to want to understand how mobile you want to be. Understand the ins and outs of how you're going to run your business, so we can give you an option that will serve you and give you the capabilities to grow if you need to grow. Our turnaround time right now, well, pre-pandemic, we could probably turn it around in 8 to 12 weeks. Right now, we're looking at a 20-week turnaround on average, with possible delays because of material shortages that present themselves as we're moving along right now,
Right.
that we're having to deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah, so I read that's affecting so many industries right now. I'm also curious, as I was just thinking about this, is the food truck build out different based upon the climate of the area? I'm guessing it probably is. If you're in a really hot area, you got to think more about cooling that vehicle. If you're going to be serving in the winter, how does that impact how you build a food truck?
So we always make sure that we insulate the units, right, for either cold or hot climates. Then you got to make sure that they have a process to winterize their plumbing system for the wintertime if you want to use it in the wintertime. I've seen that most food truck operators prefer not to use it, in my experience. But if you absolutely have to, you could always just cancel out the plumbing for a few months and then figure it out, or make sure you winterize it. Put some heating pads in there that serve for the pipes and for the water tanks, etc. And then when it comes to heat, man, the saying, if you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen, holds
Yeah,
very true in a food truck or trailer. Because one, if you have all your especially your cooking units going at the same time, and then you have your extractor fan and your vent hood sucking out all the air, it's really hard to get it to cool down. But we recommend a few fans, a few extractor fans on the roofs, to make sure that, one, they know they're going to be uncomfortable, right? It's not going to be the most comfortable thing to be doing, but you can minimize the heat.
so just be prepared. That's kind of the nature of the beast when it comes to food trucks.
It is the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
And you can put in a split AC, but once you have everything going, I mean, I don't know if you've worked in a kitchen before, but
I have.
restaurants, if you're like right in front of the grill and
Hmm.
there's nothing you can do to cool down when you're right in front of your grill.
That's right. That's right. So if you can't stand the heat, how does somebody get a hold of you if they're interested in having you provide your services?
So they can visit our website, trailerkingbuilders.com, and they can contact us either by making an appointment directly on our website. All you do is click a link and pick one of our team members. And you could visit us on Instagram at Trailer King Builders. And essentially, we operate by making sure that we have an appointment so we can discuss your investment. We will take the time to understand your project in its entirety. So it's not a 5-minute call. It's
Hmm.
probably like 30 to 45 minutes to make sure that we understand exactly what you're looking for, and understand your budget. See if you need help financing, etc. So if you are absolutely serious about getting one started, we would love to help.
Fantastic. I understand also you host your own podcast. Do you want to put in a plug for that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So I
Yeah.
have a podcast called Working for a Dream. It is a podcast that focuses on the stories of individuals that are either working on their dream or have
Mm.
achieved part of the dreams that they've been working on, but just sharing stories of people that have, broken through barriers or breaking through their limiting beliefs and that are living their dream life. And I want to be able to share those stories so that other people can take advantage, learn something. I do it for myself to learn from them, and I do it for others so they can learn too.
Yeah, fantastic. And it sounds like you started off with your own story and how you had to rebuild your own situation.
Absolutely.
Very
It's an
cool.
ongoing process, man, every single day. It's never ending.
That's right. Well, Patrick, it's been such a pleasure hearing your story and getting to know you today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, once again, I want to thank our guest, Patrick Bolanos with Trailer King Builders. Incredible insights and such a great story about rebuilding yourself and chasing your dreams. If you have a dream of building a food truck, Patrick is certainly someone who can help you out. And a reminder that this podcast is produced and sponsored by Order Up Apps. If you're looking for a better way to food truck, don't look any further than Order Up Apps. They're there for your ordering and marketing needs. Not only are they official Square partners, they offer custom branded ordering apps and marketing tools made for you, food truck owners. Get your 14-day free trial today at orderupapps.com. And again, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of A Better Way to Food Truck.